Welcome to the Phantom Zone.
All right, so in a thing that we've talked about in the past, which is the rumor is like, so DC got rid of a bunch of its banners or
imprints.
Yeah.
So I know Vertigo's the big one, obviously.
Yeah. Well, and so the other two were Zoom and Ink. And Zoom was the kids line, and Ink was the young readers line, which is really weird because those are like two newish imprints, and like they were fairly successful.
I thought like Ink like just came out, like
yeah,
because that was one of the free comic books that DC did. It was like the Ink Catwoman story, like a tease, and I liked it. It was really good. It's not necessarily something I would buy, but yeah, like it's kind of weird. I get the Vertigo, as sad as it is, it makes the most sense because why have the Black Label, which we have talked about that, but it doesn't make sense to have both.
I think they even said they're coming out with like any re-release of any of the Vertigo stuff is going under the Black Label.
Yeah, which is weird. But they're like, I'm wondering when this switch is going to take place because like I got picked up comic books today and they still had the Vertigo stuff on it, which makes sense. It only happened like
it won't be for like another year. Like those books have already been like printed. So until they sell out at like a distributor line, they will not like. Those are just how they'll be for a while.
Okay, so yeah, you would know more about that being as I guess you're kind of in the industry. I would say.
Yeah, man, I am. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a weird. It's like I don't know how to describe. Like you're in the industry.
Yeah.
But, and I guess that kind of leads into the second thing, which is like, but then they're creating a new.
Well, can I talk about? Can I talk about like Vertigo for a second though?
Yes.
Please.
So I understand that like DC had too many labels or imprints, and I said as much when they started announcing Black having like stuff on Black Label and Zoom and Ink, because like they had Zoom, Ink, Black Label, Young Animal, Vertigo, Wildstorm, and DC proper. And those are all the imprints that would go on like at any given month.
Yes, well, that's not including the kind of Sandman was like a sort of part of Vertigo, and then the Wonder Comics, which is, I guess, like kind of a sub of the main DC.
Yeah. So having them, because like they basically like, okay, like all of our labels are just basically going to be DC proper, DC Kids, and Black Label. And I think it's like if they start like shipping the Ink stuff, which is like the young reader stuff, into DC Kids, like I don't think that's going to find an audience because I think you're right. I think it'd be better if it was in DC proper. Yeah, because I don't think young adult readers want to read something that says kids on the book. No. I think DC Ink was like a, ambiguous enough of a term that people who want to read books like that would read a label like that.
Well, maybe they'll throw it under like the Wonder Comics.
Yeah, but then like also like at the end of the day, like what is Black Label? Because it's like it's marketed as this mature readers adult line for DC Comics, but up to this point, the only thing that's like adult about them is like Batman says fuck.
Yeah, Batman's
it's cursing, and I think it's like more bloody, like the
Bat
violence.
Dick.
Bat Dicks.
But like they showed Bat Dick, and then they were like, no, never. Like it was like they were like so repulsed by like that it seems like they just kind of strayed away from like all of that, like to the point that they've like edited parts of White Knight, so it doesn't have nudity in it.
Yeah, which is like you can see when you're reading White Knight, like, oh, you're supposed to be naked, but you're suddenly wearing a suit.
So these Vertigo books that have come out in the past, like Preacher or Fables or Watchmen, that do have like mature storytelling in them.
Wait, Watchmen was Vertigo?
Yeah. It's Vertigo.
It's Vertigo-esque, basically.
Well, it has most of Alan Moore's stuff was like under Vertigo, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean it's technically DC, but it's a Vertigo book. So I just don't understand. So like, when like those are going to be brought into Black Label, is there going to be like,
edits,
a different like other label on it that says like, oh, sexual content, don't read unless you want to read that, but it's like, I don't know. It's just like, if they want to fold in Vertigo into Black Label, that's fine. But then they also need to change the culture of what Black Label is.
Yeah, I think the problem is like we've only had 3 books come out on Black Label, and only one has finished its whole run. The other one, the 3rd issue for Damned, came out today. And then we've only had 1 issue of Last Night on Earth. So they're all 3 Batman stories.
I actually forgot about that last Batman book because I thought you were going to say Super.
No, that hasn't come out yet, I don't think.
Yeah, it came out last week.
Oh.
Which shows like really like what people think about Superman Year One.
I'm also not a Superman person, but okay. Like, I didn't buy Batman Damned anyway, but like Last Night on Earth. So I guess we've had 4 books now, and 3 are Batman and 1 is Superman. Like, I look for like reading Last Night on Earth. I know Connor has read it. I don't really get what's mature about it, unless it literally is just that they say fuck a couple times.
Yeah, Joker says shit in the Last Night.
I don't think there's anything necessarily overly violent in it. I
think it's an excuse for the books to be 60 pages and the art to be a little bit more high quality and to have no ads throughout it. I think that's just it. It's just a higher quality book for $8.
Yeah, which I don't mind necessarily sometimes when it's like a better quality. Like,
yeah,
I don't mind paying for quality. But yeah, it's just like you're saying, John, it's like, what is the Black... Like, we haven't... It's not... Because it's only been like, what, like a year for Black Label? Maybe like a year and a half?
Yeah.
So it's like this weird... Like,
Black Label hasn't found an identity at all.
Yeah. And they haven't put out enough on it yet either.
Yeah, and then the last thing like I'll say about this is, when I worked at a store for like 8 years, we had like people like and this could just be a thing at our personal store. Like this could be something different throughout other stores. But I felt like we had a clientele base that would always pick up something that was Vertigo, because the marquee of Vertigo was so big for so long that it was like anything that came out under that label, people would check out. And there have been books where I think that they would have been really good under Vertigo, like The Mighty, that I was like, oh, this is like a Vertigo book, you should check it out. People don't check it out because it's had DC on it. They're like, I don't read superhero comics. Like, I want to read Vertigo. So
there's a bunch of stuff like that. Like, I think, which is like Swamp Thing started as Vertigo. Like, I think a lot of those magic-y kind of characters would have done better, like a iVampire or...
Yeah, and those Vertigo people would read Swamp Thing, and they'll read Doom Patrol, they'll read Animal Man, but they wouldn't read DC New 52 Swamp Thing or Animal Man or whatever. So I feel like DC, I think it's pretty clear over the last decade, the people who are higher up did not see the value of Vertigo as a brand, and slowly just kind of killed it over time, to where today they're like, we can kill it now, and it might not be that big of a deal, as opposed to 10 years ago when we actually did want to kill it and people would just riot it.
Well, yeah, because I think currently there's if you include the Sandman books, there's 8 books they do for Vertigo, maybe?
Yeah.
At most.
Yeah, so the point I wanted to make is I don't think DC understands that the people who bought Vertigo are not automatically going to buy Black Label now. Even if you were to put, Transmetropolitan or Preacher or Hellblazer or whatever under DC Black Label, I don't think those will turn over to sales.
Yeah, it's kind of this weird... I think it has to do with a lot with what the DC, Warner Brothers wants to do with DC, or what Warner Brothers wants to do with DC. So this kind of going from these several labels to 3, it's much more streamlined. So I guess it's to reach a better audience. And I wonder if this will make it so that there's because they have, I think DC has the deal with Walmart, right? Where they send them so I'm wondering if maybe they'll get some with a specific label for DC Kids, they can throw those in Walmarts and stuff like that.
That'd be a pretty good idea for those 100-page books with 5 different stories in them from 5 different heroes.
Yeah, I feel like this is very much a marketing move to kind of make things easier to sell to the general public as opposed to the comic book aficionados. So I think it more talks to how they it's what we kind of talked about last time when it comes to like DC and what's going on with them and like how they're treating comics in general and stuff like that. But I did see in their statement here, it says like the kids are 8 to 12, the regular DC is 13 plus. So I think Ink would probably fit into that 13 plus. Because from reading the Catwoman run, I don't think that would fit into the kids at all. Because it had like child abuse in it.
Yeah.
So I don't think they would put that into the kids. But
So with that, all that being said, and DC making this huge song and dance about having too many lines, too many imprints, DC announced a new imprint today.
well, yeah,
Yeah,
it does
they
say
did.
it's under.
Hell yeah.
It's under the Black Label.
Is it?
Yeah, the picture shows it under Black Label. It says DC Black Label, Joe Hill, Hill House.
So it's an
That's
imprint on top of an imprint.
Yes,
That's a mouthful also.
It's a sub imprint. But like that makes more sense if they were to do DC Black Label and then Vertigo. Like I could see them maybe doing that. And maybe that this kind of is a test run for that.
What do you think the full title of this book, like this basket full of heads book that they have here? Would you pronounce this book as DC Comics or DC Black Label presents Joe Hill? No, like DC Comics Black Label : Joe Hill presents Hill House Comics basket full of heads #1.
That's a whole page.
That's literally the whole page. And then in tiny writing, I guarantee you one of these comics is going to have his dad writing with him.
I mean, that's not bad.
No, it's not, because American Vampire Her was pretty great.
So it's limited to 5 series. Basket Full of Heads, which will be written by Hill, illustrated by Leo Max. The Dollhouse Family, written by Mike Carey, illustrated by Peter Gross. So it's the what was that Mike Carey book he did for like the longest time? The Unwritten? I believe that's the Unwritten team. The Low Woods, written by Carmen Maria Machado, illustrated by Donnie. Daphne Byrne, written by Laura Marks, illustrated by Kelly Jones. And Plunge, written by Joe Hill, with an artist be revealed later. Each comics will come with a 2-page installment of backup feature called Sea Dogs, written by Hill.
Like, I don't know, the idea for these books is interesting. That label on the front cover is gigantic, though.
Yep.
Yeah, it needs a second go through.
Well, because like I literally picked up like a Vertigo book today, and like I kind of like what they've been doing, where it's kind of like on the side.
Okay, so yeah, I was right. Peter Gross did Lucifer with Mike Carey for the majority of the entire series, and then also did all of Unwritten with Mike Carey.
See, I think my other thought behind all this is that I wonder if part of this is to get the properties that are on TV and in movies that are Vertigo to get rid of the Vertigo label and to put the DC label in those. So
Yeah.
Shows like Lucifer, which is like had its new season just came out and is going for another one.
I mean, it's possible Joe Hill just had that Nosferatu show go on AMC from his book, and that's been doing pretty well.
Yeah,
it was very strange to see the kitchen have the Vertigo label on it, because I was like, unless they're doing more Vertigo stuff, like I don't know why they just don't use the DC Comics label.
I was going to mention that back in the Vertigo talk.
Yeah, because you have the Watchmen show that's coming out in the summer for HBO?
Fall, I think.
Fall? And I think there's a couple of other ones that are like Vertigo-based stuff.
There's a Why the Last Man that God knows when that coming out.
It has a cast. I think they actually just got like a new showrunner. Which is
I heard about that.
Good.
Yeah,
I heard that was. Yeah, that was kind of my first thought when this happened. It's like, oh, this is a way to get with the part of DC stuff that's been doing good in big screen and like TV is let's erase this Vertigo and slap a DC label on it, and maybe people will stop bitching about DC stuff not being good. And it's probably easy. I'm sorry. I was just gonna say it might be easier depending on the life of the app, like what they might do with it with some of these like shows.
Yeah, because it depends on like some of these brands kind of go to the DC universe. If depending on how the shows on that are going to last, kind of like I don't know what's going on with Swamp. I mean, Swamp Thing's canceled, but I don't know what's going to happen with the rest of the stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of that. And then John showed us this like mouse guard stuff that the creator, was it the director posted?
Westball, the Westball posted it, I think.
Yeah, and it's sad that it's not coming out. Like, Mouse Guard is pretty awesome. This cinematic.
So I've never read Mouse Guard, and I'm looking at this, and I'm just like, this looks dope, and I wish we were getting this.
Yeah, it's kind of like, what is that story with the rabbit that they've animated?
Watership Down?
It's
Watership Down.
Yeah, it's like Watership Down, but like with Lord of the Rings, like the Game of Thrones kind of medieval stuff on there.
It's like fantasy.
Yeah.
So like Redwall? Like that old book from back in the day?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like this. It's in Watership Down, as in like it's like a society-based thing. And
Okay.
but it's like in a very kind of medieval setting, like, but they're mice. So yeah, it looks cool, and I feel like it's still at some point someone will do something with it because it's too perfect of a property to not get some sort of animated treatment.
Yeah, and just in case like it wasn't brought up, like reason why it's being scrapped is because this was part of the Disney Fox merger. This was originally a go at Fox, and then when the merger happened, this was one of the films that was up on the chopping block because Disney didn't think it was going to be worth the money.
Yeah, it's that weird thing where like in a merger that they were like, oh, stuff that was in a far enough along development, they were like, well, if there's already enough invested, we'll keep it going. And I guess this did not fit into that.
Because like supposedly the other animated project that was on the slate was Nimona, and that looks like it's still on the go, which is cool.
Mm-hmm. Because like they didn't cancel like a whole bunch of other stuff, but like it's like that weirdness of like what happens in a merger. Like it was going to be expected. Maybe they didn't want to do it because it's like a studio that, like an animation studio that they don't want to work with. Like, although like I wouldn't want to see, if they do this, it has to be very adult. So like I wouldn't want to see like the main Disney people kind of deal with this. Like,
I mean, like the one thing about the demo, I'm like I kind of feel like they made him a little bit too humanoid looking. Like I think it's like if they made him a lot more, mouse-like. I think it. Yeah,
they look more they look more just like mice on their hind legs.
But yeah, like everything about this is like really cool. It's kind of a shame, but yeah, I mean, and it's like especially as like you hear the news of this movie closing, and then you look at this summer movies where it's like, it's like Endgame and Aladdin and Men in Black and all these movies like kind of, well, except for Endgame, everything else is just kind of underperformed. It's not doing the level that what they kind of hoped it would. Like Secret Life of Pets underperformed. Toy Story 4 did not hit the projections it was supposed to. And then you look at Mouse Guard, and you're like, oh yeah, like this wasn't a property. It didn't have brand recognition. It wasn't from a publisher that was big. So of course, like we're gonna scrap it. And it's like, well, hopefully we learn something from this.
I feel like. Oh, I'm sorry, Lou. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say Mouse Guard. As much as I would love to see this movie personally, I just imagine it being one of those movies. It's kind of like that Nutcracker movie Disney released last year, where it's one of those movies where it's like this could be good, but then you're gonna see in the news Disney's putting down like $170 million write-off on it or something.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I agree with you. There's like that. I feel like it could have easily been one of those. I'm trying to think. I can't even remember some of the names of them. The like what's Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe?
Narnia.
Like when there was like 7 Narnia ripoff movies that came out. What was it, like Golden Compass was one?
Dude, there's like 16.
The Spiderwick Chronicles.
Aragon.
Oh my god.
I thought Aragon was a Harry Potter like
Aragon is the dragon one, right?
Yeah. Aragon's huge. It's like 800 pages.
Yeah. And there's like 6 books or whatever. But like this could have easily have fallen into that. And I'm not in love with the designs. Like you said, like they're too humanoid. Like in the Mouse Guard, I kind of like that they're like kind of these chubby little mice. I actually would kind of prefer a traditional animation as opposed to the CGI look.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Like if they basically took the designs of the comic of Mouse Guard and animated it it would look really sweet.
It reminds me of, if anybody's seen those old Lord of the Rings animations.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If they would have done if they could do something like that, I think that would really work.
But yeah, unfortunately, like no major studio in the United States wants to do 2D animation.
Yeah.
Honestly,
there's
like
also-
if Don Bluth ever got his hands on this, oh yes.
Well, like if we could travel back in time to like 80s Don Bluth, sure,
No, not now. Don Bluth. Don Bluth in his prime. Don Bluth.
Or you mean not Pebble and the Penguin? Troll in Central Park, Don Bluth?
How dare you? I mean, to be fair, I'm one of the few that likes Titan AE as a movie. So.
Oh, I like Titan AE. I
Yeah,
don't
that was
think
a
it's
good
bad.
movie.
The problem, it's like really funny. Sorry about the side tangent about Don Bluth, but it's like it's really funny that like he broke off from Disney and formed his own animation studio to go and do Secret of Nim and American Tail and
Land Before Time.
and Land Before Time and All Dogs Go to Heaven, and then like the '90s hit and he was just like trying to do Disney shit.
Rock-a-doodle-doo.
Rock-a-Doodle is like a total Disney Thumbelina.
Troll in Central Park.
Yeah,
I actually did not realize that Rock-a-Doodle-Doo wasn't a Disney thing until like when I was way growing up.
Also, I'll defend Anastasia. That's a good movie.
Oh,
Wasn't We're Back one of them as well? With the dinosaurs?
It's his
Was that him?
studio. It's his studio, and it's like the character designs, but it's not him.
Is that the one where the dinosaurs are in New York?
Yeah, like they gain sentience and they're all just
Yeah.
like running around.
The one that Walter
Goodman's the
Cronkite,
voice of the T-Rex.
Walter Cronkite and Julia Child show up in that movie.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I think that kind of covers it for most of the main news. Nothing really big has happened in the last 2 weeks besides that Vertigo stuff. I don't think so. Do we want to just jump into the topic?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So since Far From Home, almost at Homecoming, is coming out in 2 weeks, so we're doing a big Spider-Man topic. So do we want to start with our bottom four, like our least favorite or the worst Spider-Man characters, or the best?
We got to start from the bottom, work it up.
Okay.
Gotta start with
Yeah.
Drake.
Like Drake. All right. So who would like to go first with their?
I'll go.
Sure.
All right. So my bottom four characters. I was like looking because I was like, all right, let me see.
Are we saying like one at a time?
Yeah, I would say yeah. Let's do one at a time and go around.
Okay.
So my first bottom four character is Kangaroo.
Damn it. That was one of mine.
What?
Okay, good. I'm so glad I wasn't the other one because that
Okay.
might be a deep cut. Let's see if this is gonna work.
So I guess give a little background on the character, and then we can rip that character apart.
All right, so there's two versions of this character. There's the Frank Oliver one, and there's the Brian Hibbs one. Let's start with Frank Oliver. Man literally comes from Sydney. He studies kangaroos, and he lived, ate, and traveled with kangaroos, and developed a leaping ability that rivaled kangaroos. So basically, this man just really likes kangaroos a lot.
Mm-hmm.
How he became a supervillain, I don't know, but you know what? He decided to get a life of crime, and here we are. Fuck this character.
Yeah. See, he seems like he's that thing, which will probably be like a running theme of these bad characters, where he's like a reskin of another character, because he seems like he's basically Batroc the Leaper, but with like an Australian skin. Like, he's the exact same character. Like, he's a guy that can jump and kick.
But I feel like, and maybe this is me basing it off the movies, Batroc the Leaper is an infinitely cooler character
Oh, he is. Yeah.
than someone named the goddamn Kangaroo.
Well, it goes with the Spider-Man theme of half of his villains are named after animals.
Yeah,
That's true.
but like I also think like a lot of like the loser Spider-Man villains are like very endearing in that way. Like,
Oh, there are some good endearing ones, but like Kangaroo is not one.
No. Kangaroo
well,
is...
it's funny because it's like you just gotta wait until a writer like does something with them, like Dennis Hopeless writing Porcupine, or Nick Spencer writing Boomerang, or Nick Spencer writing Grizzly.
Yeah. Oh no, you're not wrong. It's just like these are the characters that are like forgotten to time, and like no one has even attempted to try to do that. Is there who would like to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next, if that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so my pick for, like, probably worst, or at least my least favorite villain, or character in general in Spider-Man is Electro, or no, Shocker. Yeah, I get those two mixed up all the time because I hate one and I like the other.
Yes.
Yeah, the thug Shocker, not like the actual villain Electro, like just
The one that
asshole.
Michael Keaton made fun of. That kind
Yeah.
of Shocker.
Yeah, the
that kind of
Shocker that looks like that he's wearing an oven mitt.
Yeah, he's like wearing this weird like fishnet pattern over yellow spandex. He's just like a punk, and I've never liked him in any iteration.
See, yeah, I know he's on a lot of people's like character. He's one of the characters when John said like, oh, but there's some of them that are like kind of endearing. To me, he's one of those guys.
Okay.
To me, he's a joke villain that with the times that he's treated the best, or him reading him and enjoying him is when he's like jobbed out in 2 seconds in a story. And it's just like, oh, yeah, I need to go do this. And while like Spider-Man's kind of talking, you realize that he's beating the shit out of Shocker.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because he's literally like, he is a terrible villain. Like he's the most middling like bank robber with a terrible gimmick. And his name doesn't make any sense either, because his thing is like vibrations.
Mm-hmm.
They're like shockwaves.
Yeah.
Hence why I appreciate Michael Keaton just dissing him in Homecoming.
Yes. Which is hilarious that we get 2 different versions of Shocker in that movie.
Yes.
And we'll probably get more. And he ends up getting taken out by the guy behind the computer for Peter. The second one.
Man in the chair.
Yeah.
Man in the chair, yeah.
All right. So, who would like to go next?
I got one before someone steals one of my choices.
Okay.
The White Rabbit.
Oh my god.
I love the White Rabbit.
No.
I love that she's always in the background at like that bar that's full of villains, and she shows up at least once in everyone's Spider-Man story, like as a writer.
I thought it was kind of goofy.
Villain.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not a big fan of her. She's like kind of just like this goofy gimmick. Like, I don't know. I actually don't even know what is her like origin.
Trash.
She just shows up in I think Dan Slott's Spider-Man run, and and she just kind of shows up every once, and she's like that foil. She's basically what Stiltman used to be, where you would like see her get busted at the beginning of a story, and then the story would happen. Yeah,
it's the same thing that they do with Shocker. So yeah, I'm reading it's like she's a rich girl who got bored, and so she dressed up like an Alice in Wonderland character and just started doing crime because she was bored.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, which we skipped over Shocker's, which Shocker's origin, because there's only been really the one show, or I guess there's been 2, but it's the main one is Herman Schultz, and he's just like, and
like that's such a great loser like villain name.
Mm-hmm.
Herman Schultz. Great.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. John, do you want to go, and then I'll go last?
Yeah, the Jackal. He sucks.
God, he's on my list. He doesn't know.
He is my dishonorable mentions list.
The Jackal is like the crux of the Clone Saga.
That's what I was saying. It's not just him. Like, he's also he's the creator of one of the worst things in Spider-Man history.
God, they brought him back for the clones conspiracies, and I don't know why. It's just, he sucks. People try to like rehabilitate him. He still sucks. He's like one of those villains that just never works.
He's like a shitty. Oh my god, what's the Avengers character that evolves? The
High Evolutionary.
Yeah, he's like a shitty High Evolutionary.
Yeah, he doesn't look as cool. His powers aren't as cool. His name's the Jackal, and he looks like a goblin.
Which there's a billion goblins. And he just like, again, so many characters that could be on this list are because of him.
Yeah, and he's like also just like another scientist, Spider-Man character who, like, through genetic testing has like become like this monster. And it's like, okay, you're not as cool as Kirk Connors. You're not even like as cool as Morbius. Like, and that takes a lot of effort to be less cool than Morbius, because Morbius sucks. Yeah, which is a great segue into mine, which is going to be a group of characters, and it's all of the Lizard knockoffs. So Iguana, Stegtron,
I'm sure that there's a couple of other ones, but those don't.
Stegtron, it's pretty rad.
Yeah,
Stegtron he's literally the lizard, except it's a stegosaurus.
And I see no problem with that.
It's just like the lameness. Iguana's the worst one. But
Iguana, I'll agree with. That's pretty low, but like, don't ever step to Stegtron ever again, please.
Yeah, it's just like it's also like the laziness of it. It's like, oh, his name before he turns into a stegosaurus is Stegron. Like that's his regular name. It's just like again, it's the another super scientist, like, and he's literally exactly like the lizard, and the iguana is even worse because he's Kirk Connor's actual pet iguana that turns humanoid at night.
Nice. At night, like a were iguana,
and he's hurt by light.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that's
I don't know Stegron, and it's like he must have been wearing a Raphael type style like trench coat and hat, and he rips it off, proclaiming himself Stegron, the dinosaur man.
Yes, I have that image right here.
Hell yes, dude.
Yeah, the one story I remember, I can't remember what he was like the main villain, and he did something that turned everybody into their more animalistic forms.
Spider-Man and the X-Men, because that's like the all-time great comic where Spider-Man is talking to oh my god, what's his name?
It's Seren.
That's a great moment.
Yeah, Craig dropped out for there, but yeah, like that story is ridiculous. He wasn't turned everyone into dinosaurs. Was it Lizard and his kid are like turned into that? Iguana's there. Like, doesn't Black Cat somehow get like weird? Which doesn't make any sense. Her I don't even know what Black Cat's powers are, but like she becomes more cat-like.
She's like lucky, I believe.
Is she a mutant?
No.
So she's just like a person, right?
Yes.
Yeah, like that's what I'm like. Her powers like they make her more cat-like, and then the end thing is that like, oh, your stupid Ray made me more spider-like, and spiders are like the greatest predator in the animal kingdom, and he just like beats the shit out of everybody, which is, you know, I don't know. That was my combo. So if we go back around, I'll do my second one, which I'm sure, John, you have one of these on your list. It's the two different Grey Goblins. The first one is part of John's favorite story of all time, which is the twin son. So it is Gabriel Stacy, the bastard son of Gwen Stacy when she had twins from Norman Osborn.
Oh fuck, I forgot about that.
Yes. So he takes the goblin stuff, and it's like this terribly dumb story that everyone tries to forget exists.
Oh, I forgot that.
The other Grey Goblin, I think she's also called Menace.
Obviously, because she's a menace to all comic readers.
Yeah, let me find a picture of her. So she's Harry's girlfriend that ends up finding his stash of stuff and figures out where like his old Green Goblin stuff is and gets some on her. And she physically transforms into a goblin-like person. And then she basically starts attacking her dad's campaign because he's running for mayor in order to garner sympathy, and then also ends up having a relationship with Norman and getting pregnant. But this time it's not his kid. But yeah, like, I don't know what it is. Like, it's the bad goblin knockoffs. Like, they're the two worst goblin knockoffs. What sucks is like the design looks good, but then the end character is terrible. So she starts as this like, because it's like a big reveal is like, who the hell is Menace? Because it doesn't look like a woman. It's like this gray kind of just like, kind of has like the Hellboy cut off like horns. And then when she returns, when she is pregnant, they turn her into a full-blooded like sexy goblin.
Oh,
Of course they have to.
Yes. So
How are readers gonna know that she's a lady unless we make her super hot looking?
Yeah, and they change her from like the gray to the green. And she was pretty like when she was like the Grey Goblin version, she looked pretty like the character looked rad. It's just another really dumb story. Like anytime there's like the paternity stuff, which for some reason happens a lot in Spider-Man, it's just really dumb and I hate it. So, John Siler, do you want to do your second one?
Yeah, my 2 and 3 are Gabriel and Stacy.
So
Both of them. They reside in both my 2 spots. They suck. They're like the story that they're introduced in is one of the worst. like they're a constant reminder of the worst storyline in Spider-Man history. Like, don't at me. It's not One More Day. Like, and the fact that they like tried to bring back elements of that storyline into Brand New Day was really stupid.
I looked it up because that's the gray gargoyle, the first one I was talking about. I was like, apparently they wanted to write off that that event even happened during like the Brand New Day storyline, and we're told no. So
because it's like, of all the things you'd want to get rid of in Spider-Man's mythology, like, let's just keep that one around.
Yeah, it's like oh, you mean the event that ruined one of like the most beloved characters?
Yeah, like who like
Ruined a lot of things.
Who to this day would actually still be like a ruined character if it wasn't for, Jason Latour writing Spider-Gwen.
Yes. The ultimate version of her is not that bad. I like that version, but the Ultimate Universe is so forgettable in many ways.
Yeah.
Even though the Spider-Man run is pretty good.
And I like, the part where she becomes Carnage, it's like one of the only versions of Carnage I kind of like. But it's still, it's like kind of like not different enough to where it erases the other bad parts in your mind.
Yeah. Well, it's also because it's that other universe, so it's like, well, it doesn't really fix stuff.
Yeah, but Gwen Stacy being Spider-Gwen is so complete. It's like they completely like changed her with still being like the same Gwen that we used to really like. And it's just like, oh, like this is Gwen now. Like that, that Gwen who died on the thing. Like it's like a long distant memory. It's like, this is Gwen now.
Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to think right now. Who was Brian? I think.
Sure. Another one on my list was
Ryan, you go. Now go.
Okay. Another one on my list was Spider-Side.
That's one of Jackal's creations, isn't it?
Yeah, he's basically a clone, but like he like altered him even more to give him like basically he can alter the mass of his body.
Oh, good.
He looks basically like exactly the same, except he doesn't have like the webbing on his costume. And it was just
what if we did Venom in Carnage as the same character, and he was like Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Let's make him a clone.
Yes, let's just do more clones.
Gasp.
Yeah, he's pretty terrible. And he's like, I'm trying to think, is he the worst clone? He's probably up there for like the terrible clones.
Yeah, he's the worst.
Yeah, he was pretty bad.
All right, so John.
I'm going to go with another one I mentioned before we started this, that I have a group that I base a group together in my bottom four and in my top four. So for my bottom four is Richard and Mary Parker. I don't like them. I think
yes,
they are unnecessary characters. They add literally nothing to Peter's background. Like, okay, cool. They're spies. And?
Yeah, and they're like dumb SHIELD agents for some reason.
Yeah,
that's the other thing. That was...
Yeah, it like ruins the whole... Like, making them some sort of weird importance kind of like ruins a whole bunch of shit for them.
Like, they kind of did that in the movie with Andrew Garfield. Like, when he found the train station, they're like, oh, he had like a secret lab. He's a spy.
Oh my god, wait, did you ever see the alternate ending to that movie?
No.
That they were still alive.
Yeah, the dad was alive the whole time, and like Peter was like yelling at him. He's like, "Where were you?"
That sounds so bad.
And it's like, okay, great. You know what? It's kind of nice that like Andrew Garfield's giving one of the best performances in a scene that makes no goddamn sense. And it's just, it adds to the fact that I don't like these characters. They add nothing. That's why I prefer Ben and May Parker as parents rather than Richard and Mary. They suck.
Yes.
I feel like I can't add much more to that other than they are unnecessary and they're not needed.
No, you're completely right. I actually forgot. I almost purposely blanked them out of my head when it comes to them being like an actual characters in Peter's life. I'm trying to. Who was next? Was it Connor?
Oh yes, sorry. Yes, it's me. And my next one is. I saw I had to look up some B tier villains, and I found some real bad ones, such as this one, the 1000. Which is a character named Carl King who sees Peter Parker get bitten by a spider and also sees Peter Parker leave his house as Spider-Man, putting two and two together, realizing that one equals the other. So he devises a plan to get spider powers of his own. But so he breaks into the power plant or the nuclear testing site that had the spider that bit Peter. And he gets the spider actually, but it's super dead. So he just fucking eats it because he's like, well, ow. So he pops that fucker, and then he's fine for a couple days. And then, like, he's sitting at the breakfast table with his mom, and then he just, like, throws up, and spiders come out of it, and they eat his mom, and then they eat him. But when they eat him, they absorb his consciousness into the spiders. So he becomes...
Oh, is that the Swarm?
The Swarm, the spiders. The character's pseudonym is the 1,000.
Oh, he's Spider's Man.
Spider's Man, yeah.
The Swarm is different. The Swarm is a different character that has a very
it
similar
sounded
origin.
familiar. Yeah, it was super similar.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
'cause
didn't know that.
Yeah, the Swarm is a Nazi scientist who transfers his brain into the mind of a colony of bees.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so good. That's so good.
Yeah, it sounded similar, so I was like, is that the Swarm?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
some
he's like he was
shit right there.
he was on my thing on my honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so good. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's like the joke from what was it, season 3 of Rick and Morty, like a million ants.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So Connor, do you have another one? And then we'll go back around to finish
Okay,
it.
yeah, for sure. Next one would probably be like Morbius. Because that dude's just like an edgelord.
Yeah, he's very like he's that weird 90s thing.
Like I played D&D with my dad once. And it was a lot of fun, but he just played his character like Morbius. And that's because he's a huge fan of him in the comics. Like, all his comics are like 90s era. He loves like Spawn and all that like super gory stuff. And he just played that character, and I realized I knew firsthand, but like seeing it played out as another person, man, he's so bitchy. He's such a big baby. I never really liked the big vampire guy.
Yeah.
Just like his whole attitude.
Well, to be fair, he
design.
He went through the same process as Spider-Man, but he got stuck with like the worst animal, and he's like basically a vampire without any of the cool vampire powers.
Yeah.
That doesn't give him an excuse to be a dick.
He can't go out in the sun. He's just stuck. he's just
He's
not
stuck.
even a vampire. He's not immortal. He's just anemic.
He's the living
Yeah.
vampire.
He's the living vampire, yeah.
He just exists.
And I hope he suffers.
And except that he's hitting a movie that's already made, starring our favorite Joker.
Oh, yeah, everybody's favorite Joker, Jay Leto.
So it's
Did
basically
you say
just
Jay
one-
Leno?
Yeah, I said.
Wait, no.
How
Okay,
much
speaking
better
of
would
Jay
that
Leno,
movie be?
Hey guys, I'm a vampire now.
Thank you.
Speaking of Jay Leno, okay, this is super unrelated. Does anyone remember Big Bad Beetleborgs? There's a character that looks like Joker, vampire, and Jay Leno had a baby.
A very specific combination.
I'm guessing he has a giant chin. He's painted
Like,
white.
I'm gonna put it in the-
He's also a ghost of an Elvis impersonator.
Oh my god.
It is so fucking strange. Like,
Yeah, Beetleborg is on Netflix, by the way.
Oh really?
all right. Found a picture. Putting this in right now.
His name is, if I remember right, the ghost name is Flabber.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Keep talking while I do this. This is
Whoa.
All right. Does anybody else want to go next while John's looking that up? Do they have their fourth characters?
Oh yeah, I had one. Sticks and Stone.
Oh yeah, they were in many of the lists. I think. Did you have their character background?
Oh
if
yeah,
not- It's basically the guy. It's like a doctor, and he makes it sticks like the river sticks, and he makes this like a living. Was he trying to cure cancer? Or
yeah,
something?
he's trying to cure cancer.
And instead, he's experimenting on homeless people, and instead basically creates a living cancer, which is sticks. And he literally just like touches people and gives them instant cancer, and like they die.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has like an instant kill.
And it's just,
He's like the Hemogoblin.
Oh,
It's AIDS.
Oh man. Either John, did you have a fourth one?
John, you want to go?
Yeah. We talked about Spider Side as the worst clone, and he might be actually. But let's not forget Kane Parker,
Oh.
the other.
No, I would put him number 2.
Peter Parker clone.
I'd put him as number 2. He's not as bad as Spider Side.
But yeah, Kane Parker sucks. His name's Kane, but it's spelled Kaine. His costume in the 90s is really stupid, and then they tried making him into a good guy for some reason. I don't know why. Yeah, Kane sucks.
Yeah. John, do you have yours?
I do have mine. Mine
Okay.
is Rhino. I think he sucks a lot.
He fits in that shocker realm for me. Where like I love dumb Rhino. Like I don't like what we got in Amazing Spider-Man, which was terrible anyway. And I don't like. I'm trying to remember. I think the Ultimate
To be
version is really
fair,
goofy.
Paul Giamatti was the best part of that movie, but
Yeah, he was like. Yeah, I agree with that.
the character itself was just in comics, movies, whatever, just stupid. It's like, what do you do? I'm in a Rhino costume, and
But he's just hilarious looking. Like I don't know. Like I guess I remember him from the cartoon, and I love like that he's like so dumb. Like I love that he's just like the dumb muscle that everyone just hires around. Plus, he's like part of all the like the Sinister Six and stuff like that. But like, I can totally get why why you wouldn't like him.
So during the Gauntlet, there was some like really cool stuff with Rhino during that with Joe Kelly writing it. And I think it was like one of those kind of things where Joe Kelly's take on the Rhino was so good that I feel like Rhino post that story has been that character where he's a heavy, but it's like he's not a bad guy, but it's the only job he kind of knows, and it's sympathetic in that way. Like he shows up in the first issue of Miles Morales Spider-Man. It's him like looking for like a relative, and he's like kind of teaming up with Spider-Man to like kind of figure it out. Yeah, the Gauntlet story is really cool because he ends up meeting this girl, and he like is sweet on her, and it's like super nice. Like I think it's very good.
All right. So I think I've done 2 or 3. I don't remember. I think I did 2. The goblins and then the Stegtron. My final 2 would be the first one is just like a terrible goblin ripoff, which is Jack-o'-lantern, who his best thing in comics is when his dead body is used by the devil in Ghost Rider. Yes, because he was like recently dead. He, along with my other one, which is Will-O the Wisp, which is a guy who can manipulate, I guess, gravity. He's got really weird powers. But both of them were taken out by Punisher during like Civil War. Jack-o'-lantern was straight up, I think, like shot in the head when he's one of the guys that is beating the shit out of Peter when Punisher finds him. Punisher just shoots him in the fucking face. And then Will the Wisp gets taken out during Civil War when Punisher I can't remember. Oh, one of the guys he killed was one of the Stillmen, I think. And so there's a funeral, and Punisher dresses in disguise and then blows up the bar with no name when all the villains are there. So yeah, they're 2 terrible characters that get jobbed the fuck out by Punisher, who is also a Spider-Man character, I guess, although he kind of did his own thing. So do we want to do honorable mentions or move on to the best?
Oh, honorable mention. Right here, like right between.
Mm-hmm.
I have one and one only honorable mention, and that is the character of Jackson Wheel, otherwise known as Big Wheel. Simply for Big Wheel.
Yes.
I think the design of it is, well, at least like the first iteration of it is so goofy, I can't not talk about it.
Yeah, he's like he's on the what do you call it, that from like South Park that they made, Mr. Garrison made, like the giant wheel where he sits in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Except it's like a Death Machine version.
Yeah. And he uses it to rob banks.
Yes.
It has hands. Come on, man. That's dumb as hell. I love it.
Yeah. My honorable mention is all the symbiotes that are not Venom or Carnage.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which there's like 12 of them at this point. I don't even know.
I
Just
suppose
like-
is this for bad or good character?
Oh, bad.
Okay.
Like, was it like there's like Riot and Scream and Jesus Christ, I can't remember them all. There's the one that's like 12 of them together.
Right.
To be fair, there is an entire planet of them, as well as like
but-
God.
Yeah, but what? Oh, Hybrid. One is called Hybrid. That's like 4 of them together.
Right,
There's just-
as shown in Cinematic Masterpiece Venom.
Yes. Yeah, that one's Riot. I'm trying to remember because like I had a bunch of the toys because like they looked cool, but there's just like a bunch of them that are really bad.
There's only like one good one.
Which one is the one good one?
The one that Mania. She's like in Rick Remender's Venom run. She's cool. I like her.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember like what the differences are because the ones I remember are mostly from the Maximum Carnage story.
Carnage, Toxic,
Yeah,
Anti-Venom, Null,
Yeah.
Scream, Blasphemy, Phage, Agony, Riot, Dreadphase, Hybrid.
I'm sorry, I gotta rewind. You say beige?
I think it's Phage, like
Oh,
PH.
beige. I think you said beige, like the.
See, the only one of those that I don't mind, and that is Anti-Venom. And like I kind of like when it was like Brock and that entire story, and
Yeah.
like I didn't mind the idea of it that like the Mr. Negative like flips him and he becomes this like anti-symbiote. I thought it was interesting, but like all the other ones are just I don't even remember some of them. Wasn't one of them like a cop or something and like it was basically like Agent Venom before Agent Venom? I don't even remember. There's so many.
I think you're thinking of
symbiotes.
Toxin.
Is he the one that's like red on top and black on the bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like Carnage's, I think, kid. I don't know how you would describe it. He's the Carnage, but Carnage is the Venom. Oh, if I could throw into there too, the ultimate version of Venom, I also hate.
What was his deal?
He's the lab created thing that Parker and Eddie's dad created to try to cure cancer. So he's not an alien symbiote. It's like this weird. So he doesn't
Science
there is no
experiment?
second personality. It's just like this living organism that Eddie is on. And then Peter gets it for a while. And then their Carnage is created because it's like Peter's blood mixes with it because it wants to be with Peter because it's based on not Ben Parker. What Peter's dad's name? Whatever Peter's dad's name. It's like, it's a DNA thing. But yeah, there are some terrible symbiotes. Does anybody else have any other bad
I got
mentions?
the ones I have. I'm like rethinking now, so I'm gonna go say what I have to say for my top 4. That's
Okay.
I had a mention. Uncle Ben.
Yeah. Oh, for worst characters.
In the
Yeah,
honorable
Uncle Ben sucks.
worst character. Yeah,
Every time
Uncle
he comes
Ben
back
sucks.
to life, he keeps dying, even though he knows he dies the same way. He's got to fix that.
Yeah,
And
and his rice sucks.
Yeah.
Come on, you gotta knock 2 things out: be alive, better rice.
There was a book where he actually survives, and he basically convinced Spider-Man to like kill other Spider-Man to like absorb their essence, and he was just like a dick about it the entire time.
Wait, so they did the movie The One with Jet Li, but with Spider-Man?
Yes,
I-
and it was actually really good.
I was gonna say it's still not the worst Ben Uncle Ben
What's
It
the
was,
worst Uncle Ben
because
story?
Trouble exists.
Oh, what's the other bad Uncle Ben story?
Trouble.
Oh, what is that?
Oh man, hey. So, did you ever want to know about the sex lies of Uncle Aunt May and Uncle Ben,
oh sweet
and
Jesus.
Mary Parker and Peter Parker's father while they were teenagers, and they were also swingers. And
Oh,
also
God.
by Mark
No,
Millar.
okay, stop. No.
And
Oh,
also
wow.
Aunt May,
God.
and also Aunt May slept with Peter Parker's father.
Well, if they're swingers.
Wait, what?
I feel like I remember this. And isn't it implied that there's
What?
a chance that Ben is actually Peter's father?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I remember this now.
Oh.
How am I supposed to continue after knowing this knowledge?
Oh, I feel like
God damn it.
I
I
think
had shit to do today.
I
think
had
so.
shit to do today.
alright, well that's the name of the episode. But
I had shit to do today.
I mean, like,
Damn it, Siler.
does any character have worse stories? Like, there are characters that have bad stories, but the number of horrible stories, does anybody even match Spider-Man?
I mean, I
This
don't
is
know.
just-
That's what I just heard. That goes right up there with the
like-
Gwen Stacy Norman born bit. That goes.
Yeah, you have those two. You have Spider-Man Reign, where he's killing Mary Jane with his radioactive spider jizz. Like, I don't.
God damn it.
Yeah, like, there are just some really bad Spider-Man stories. Ugh. All right.
Spider-Man. Oh.
Good characters. Let's try to cleanse the palate here for
Oh,
everybody.
please, let's do something wholesome now. That sounds nice.
I guess I can start. My favorite, not obviously Spider-Man, but like Spider-Man character is actually Jay Jonah.
Yeah, he's on mine.
Yeah, he just like his being this news guy and like with Peter and like he adds so much flavor to the world.
And the voice. I hear the voice everywhere.
Yeah. And I love like all the different iterations. Like the Raimi version is obviously amazing. But I actually like what they did in the video game, making him kind of like an Alex Jones-esque character.
Oh my god, every time he showed up on every time I go on fight a bad guy, I would literally swing away from the bad guy just so I could hear what Jay Jonah had about it, because it would be my favorite part of the whole game.
Yes. It's just like he's such a good antagonist. Like he's not a villain, although he has done villainous things at times. He's such a great antagonist for both Peter and Spider-Man separately, and he's such like a great character building tool for the both of them. So he's my number one guy.
He's not my number one, but he's definitely in my top 5. And I also appreciate the whole dynamic between him and Peter changing once he and Aunt May kind of get together.
Oh yes. That is very interesting. So who would like to go next?
I know I just talked with you about Jay Jonah, but I'll go. I have one. Kraven the Hunter.
Fuck. Okay, that's one of mine too.
Yeah. I don't know. It's something about Kraven's backstory and just the way he almost has this weird kind of respect for Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
He's a hunter. He respects his prey through and through.
Well, it's that whole, was it The Dangerous Game? Is that the book?
Yeah, The Most Dangerous Game. That's the story.
Yeah, and it's just like, yeah, he works perfectly, and all the stuff they've done with him over the years. But yeah, I think you're right. It's like the difference between him and especially a lot of the other Spider-Man villains is like they're all like bank robbers or something like that. But him specifically is that he just wants to fight Spider-Man. It's like this different motivation.
There's this weird one of the favorite iterations I've seen, and this is the only good thing I'll ever say about this game, is what they did with him in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 adaptation, which is they basically took him and they made him like this almost sympathetic like mentor figure to Peter, which I just thought was super interesting what they did, even though the rest of the game is garbage.
Interesting.
I guess Peter's... Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, some of the games have done, like, interesting takes on characters. That is an interesting one for Kraven.
Yeah, it was almost like this weird kind of, like, Peter was interviewing him, and it's cold at first, but then he starts to warm up, and I think... I haven't played the game. I've only seen, like, bits and pieces and read up on it, but when I read, I think he knows that Peter's Spider-Man. I could be 100% wrong, but I remember the whole him being a mentor to Peter bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I love Kraven. I think he's an awesome character. And
he might be my favorite Spider-Man villain. Yeah, he's probably my favorite Spider-Man villain.
I'm trying to, Jen, you've been reading, like, did that story wrap up yet with the current one that they were doing?
Yeah, but those are coming out so fast that I just kind of didn't read it, and I just bought all the issues and just kind of waiting.
All right, that makes sense.
Because, like,
All
also,
right.
it's just, like, been super busy with Anime Expo, and, like, basically this entire month it's just been, like, I think the only comic I've read this month is Assassination.
Oh, I picked it up today, so don't spoil it.
I haven't read it yet.
All right, who wants to go next?
I have one. I have a list of too many ones I like, but I would just go with Doc Ock. Like, cannot get like a better villain, especially since he became like Superior Spider-Man again.
He was on my list.
Yeah.
And I think to me, when he works the best is when he's like a sympathetic villain. In many ways, like when, like again, I'll use like the not comic properties, but like I like when he's like how he is in Spider-Man 2. I like how he is in the game. Like I like him as a mentor figure, especially of all the villains. Like him being like a more mentor figure to Peter makes a lot of sense.
Especially in the game.
Yeah.
Was like that was really good.
So yeah, I don't know. And he is different. Even though he has the name Octopus, like he's not a copy of anything. He's completely separate. He has his own kind of style. Even when he rocked that like horrible bowl cut, like like he's had some bad character designs and stuff, but like
But the bowl cut is so good. Like
the bowl
like
cut
the
and
head-
goggles.
yeah, the bowl cut, the eye,
Brings the whole
like
thing
the
together.
glasses, like
Yeah, it's not
the
there.
greens, like
The
not
green
so
jumpsuit.
well. Yeah, the
Oh,
green jumpsuit that doesn't fit him so much right. Like he's got a really cool design.
Yeah, and he's also like not jacked. Like he's kind of a schlubby dude. Like he's scientist body, which not
Speaking
a lot.
of Spider-Man, Doc Ock, Into the Spider-Verse is on Netflix right now.
Yeah, and
Oh,
like
yes.
Olivia Octavius is like it like
She's so good.
Yes.
her design is like perfect. Like the fact that like even like down to the details of like her glasses being octagons is so good.
That
I
movie's
really
perfect.
liked what they did with Doc Ock in the video game that just came out last year.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really good.
Like
Like, that was-
that's what I mean. Like it's perfect almost. Like I love the idea, especially with like how they because I just watched Spider-Man 2 recently for like the regular show. Like the game does such a better job of explaining the arms.
Yeah.
I the game, but
Like,
I am
you don't
also
like playing.
I am also on a raft by myself.
Oh,
Well, as long as you acknowledge
speaking
it,
of
that's
the
fine.
game, Lou, Doc Ock looks like Adam from GameStop.
Oh my god, yes, he does. It's our old
I was
manager.
playing it. Yeah, as an old manager.
Yeah, but like I agree, John. Like John with no H. Like I love what they do with him in the game. I love the idea of him having ALS and like the way the guard just kind of throw him even though he can't even get up. Like
It makes the ending way more tragic when you get
Yes.
to, obviously not spoiling, if you haven't played the game, buy a PS4 and play it immediately.
I just like him as a mentor figure way more than Norman. Like
Yeah.
it makes way more sense.
Yeah,
It's-
I did like that. It
Hey.
like they like when I say I did like the Spider-Man game, I'm also like not saying it's like a bad game. It's just like I think the story is just like kind of you know. And it's like another open world game, which I'm just like kind of. I wish someone would kind of reinvent the open world wheel, but you know, it's like it's better than Arkham that last Arkham
Right.
game.
Arkham
Yeah.
Knight,
I like the last Arkham game.
2 hours of Batmobile missions. Yeah.
God, those Batmobile missions suck. Like, yeah,
Hey, we have a new character, Red Hood.
Spider-Man has nothing that's as bad as those Batmobile missions.
That, I literally
yeah, it does. It
remember,
has
like,
the
can I
entire
use this?
second act of the game. That it is so egregiously boring that replaying it is kind of a chore at that point.
The tank
like,
missions
nothing-
are the worst.
And none of the character, and there's like,
No, I'm talking
No.
about Spider-Man.
and there
I-
are like no character assassinations as bad as like some of them that happen in Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even remember what you're talking. Who gets this character assassinated?
Like the stuff with Batgirl is really gross. Stuff that
Arkham
happens
Knight
with Poison
sucks.
Ivy is like pretty gross. Like none of the female characters come out looking good in Arkham Knight. The whole Joker thing sucks in that game.
That was actually the one part I liked, if only just because Mark Hamill came back as a Joker, so I was okay with it.
I would much rather see a world where where there's a Batman without a Joker than Joker being inside Batman's brain.
Fair. I just also didn't like the whole, like, okay, if you basically never read a Batman story in your life, Arkham Knight is my first Batman villain.
Oh, that's yeah. Ooh. All right. Who would like to go next? Oh my god. Also, I would like to say, if you want to Google Dr. Olivia Octavius, make sure your filter's on because this is
Oh,
actually the
for
fastest I've ever seen this.
sure.
The second image is not safe for work.
Yeah. Well, welcome
Let
to
me-
the internet.
Even Doctor.
I'm gonna have to look this up for.
For scientific research.
For
Wait,
scientists.
Wait, I don't see anything.
Yeah,
Maybe
mine-
I think it was using a different search engine.
I was
I'm on
using
Google. Mine's fine.
Yeah, no, I was using a different search engine, and it was the second image.
Wait,
Uh,
were you using Bing?
I think it was like I was just like on a thing and I just typed it in, but I don't
Yeah,
remember.
You gotta bing it, dude.
Yeah, like I can share the image if you really want to see it.
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
I have our Discord for that.
Yes. Um,
I don't think if you're not like a long time like viewer of this show, I work for Paku, the biggest publisher of Japanese rock in the United States, so that's why.
I'll go, I guess. Or did anyone else go? I'm on the only one's under here.
No, I'm trying to think. Did
I haven't gone yet. But
I don't think Connor's gone or John is gone yet.
The funny thing is like Otto, it's like I've already gushed over like why I like Otto and all the different versions of Otto. And then also including, he's the best Spider-Man. Like I mean, I say that facetiously, but like Otto Octavius as Spider-Man is so good. And like the extended cast of characters they created with that were like really compelling and great. And then like also like J. Jonah Jameson, from being Peter's boss to being a villain to being like a father figure to being a confidant. Like J. Jonah Jameson's like one of those characters that's like he has survived in a way that like Perry White kind of hasn't survived. And he's just like super compelling, always really great, always like a joy to be see him on the page of a Spider-Man book.
Yeah, I think the difference,
the two I would say that have already been said.
Yeah, if you're talking about like Perry White, I think the difference is that like Lois kind of took over that role in many ways in the Superman book.
Yeah, and I mean, and Perry White's also just like a very passive character within the book. It's like it's like he wants to sell papers, and he wants to tell the truth. Like J. Jonah Jameson is a guy who also believes in journalistic integrity, but he's also on that same coin a total huckster. And it's like he has this big grudge against Spider-Man, who also happens to be his employee, but not known. And it's like this really kind of fun dynamic that you don't see really in any other superhero fiction.
Mm-hmm.
A funny story about that. During Civil War, when Spider-Man revealed his identity, J. Jonah Jameson like sent in a summons to Peter Parker and sued him for taking pictures of himself.
Well, like just recently, like during the Chip Zdarsky Spider-Man run, there's this really great issue where J. Jonah Jameson does this one-on-one interview with Spider-Man, like in J. Jonah's apartment, and Jonah makes dinner and he sets up the table and he turns on this tape recorder, and the entire issue is them basically just hammering out their history, like everything.
I've heard of the comic. I've actually read a bit of this.
And like spoiler, like the big end, like the big, at the end of the book is that Peter Parker reveals to Jonah that he is Spider-Man. And it's like one of those like issues where you're just like kind of just like it got me teary-eyed. It's like so good. Like Chip has like this fantastic voice for Spider-Man. It's kind of a shame that because I think like Nick Spencer is a very good voice for Peter Parker, and I'm really excited to kind of see his run for to go on. But like Chip has such a great voice for him. Like I'm really excited to like when it gets collected to read that Spider-Man Decades book. But like that issue, it's like if I were to like point at like any issue or like of like why I like J. Jonah, it would be like that issue. And you kind of have to have like a little bit of history, because of certain things, but I think they do a good enough job to basically kind of like fill in readers of the history.
Okay, well, I think that you've put the hammer on the nail of the head there.
Definitely.
Did somebody
I was just like in shock after that speech, like dun dun dun.
That was really good. Thank you, John.
So yeah, anybody want to go next?
Oh man, I hate standing next
like
to
I'll
that.
tell you this: none of the other picks on my list are like that endearing.
Just say, how are we all gonna follow this now? Damn it.
Okay, yeah, I guess I'll go because no one else is jumping up next.
I'll go if you want me to. If you don't want to go, yeah.
No, I haven't gone yet, so I should.
Oh, you haven't gone yet. Okay.
Yeah, no, I should definitely say at least one of my favorites. So
yes,
yeah,
absolutely. I'm so sorry.
No, don't worry. I'm not. Don't worry. I'm not jumping on anyone's toes, or at least I'm not trying. You guys have already mentioned like J. Jonah Jameson and stuff like that. Those are really great picks, and they were on my list for sure. One that I'm not too sure whether he like a Spider-Man antagonist or not, I still chose Taskmaster as someone on my list just because I like Taskmaster and his like power set. Just he's got a really good memory. It's such
Is he a Spider-Man villain?
I see him pop up in Spider-Man stories and like Deadpool stories all the time.
He's kind of like an everybody guy.
Okay, yeah.
But like, I don't like. I think he counts as one of his main people's techniques that he uses is Spider-Man. Like of like the group of characters, it's like him, Cap, and I can't remember the other one. Are like his three main sets of abilities that he jumps to.
Yeah.
In fighting styles. But yeah, like Taskmaster is an awesome character.
Yeah, I think he's a lot of fun, and whenever he pops up like in a comic, the games or whatever, I just enjoy his kind of back and forth banter. Well, in the game, like the most recent game, he's a little bit more serious and grim dark than I think he should be. He's like a Deadpool level mercenary, so he should be kind of that level of not goofy, but like he should have some levity in him.
His logo in the Spider-Man game looks like panties.
Yeah, right.
I do like him, and there's definitely like in the game he I think he looks awesome. And I like the idea of like he's somebody who kind of perverts like Pierce's fighting style and stuff like that. And he's always an interesting character when he pops around. But it's also one of those things is like he's kind of like I would say like him like there are characters that have circled the Spider-Man or even started in Spider-Man that have become like kind of their own thing. Because like technically Kingpin is a Spider-Man character more than, but he's kind of become Daredevil's guy. Mm-hmm. And Punisher started in Spider-Man. Blade started in Spider-Man.
I was gonna say I had Kingpin on my list, but I'm not sure if he counts now or not.
I would say yes. I would say yes, since he started in Spider-Man, which we could talk about. Like, and Kingpin is an amazing character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like you go off the '90s cartoon, and Spider-Man, Spider-Man's main antagonist is the Kingpin in that show.
Yeah, and he's actually
I'll get you, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But I think like Kingpin's also just like he's the top level of ground level like Marvel
villains.
New York heroes.
Yes,
like, because you have like that crime hierarchy of like the Owl, Tombstone, Hammerhead, but like and still remain all those guys, and at the top of that you have Kingpin, who's like not big enough for like the Avengers to deal with, but just big enough to where it's like he's actually like a threat to the city.
Yes, and then I actually like there are many versions of that. Like he's actually one of the characters that gets done really well in the Ultimate Spider-Man run, and I really like how they treat him in that specifically. Because one of my favorite lines is like he has Spider-Man. I can't remember somebody else. Is it Moon Knight? It's like one of those characters. I think it's Moon Knight when he was wearing what's the Ronin's outfit in that? And like he's beating the shit out of Peter. He's beating the shit out of Spider-Man. He's just like, yeah, you don't get it. Like I bought your rights. It's like all the T-shirts and all the like the toys you see. I make money on all that. I don't want to kill you. I just want you out of my fucking like hair that I don't have. And I just love how evil he is in the Ultimate Universe. But yeah, he's definitely like I don't know. He's expanded from when he originally was created. Like he was totally a Spider-Man guy.
Yeah, and I think it's like once you had, it's like he's like a big character in I believe Frank Miller's Daredevil run, and they a big character.
Oh yeah, he kind of has,
and he was kind of like stolen from Spider-Man, and really Spider-Man has enough villains. It's like Daredevil could take Kingpin.
Yeah, but
I feel like I so associate Kingpin with Daredevil now, mainly because of the TV show.
D'Onofrio was so good as Kingpin.
Oh God, third season. If that's how we're gonna end Daredevil on that third season, you can go out on more.
Yep.
I have not watched it.
Oh, it's really good.
So good.
And their version of I don't think it's a spoiler to say because I think it kind of got said out.
Bullseye.
Yeah, I think they did more with Bullseye than anyone has done in comics ever.
Yeah, Bullseye was phenomenal in the show.
Like I hear they do the Ann Nesenti thing where Bullseye's dressed up like Daredevil and
yes,
yeah,
but like they actually give him a like background and make him a full-fledged character. Like they devote like at least one, if not two, good episodes to like Bullseye's background and stuff, and it works really well.
And then I can't recommend that season enough. It's phenomenal.
All right. Did anybody have another one?
I had one. I still have like 3 left on my list. The one was Ghost Spider. It kind of ties into that Uncle Ben mention I pulled out earlier. Basically, his origin was Uncle Ben convinced him to bring in other Spider-Men from other dimensions and like just drain their essence to get more power. Like in that book, I think it was Spider-Man Annual 38. He basically is the strongest hero on the planet. He one shots like Galactus. Like he just like he wears a cape. It's crazy. There was like a panel like Rhino's like breaking into a bank, and when he turns around and sees Spider-Man, he just walks to the police and gets arrested. Basically normal Spider-Man from 616 like shows up and he like speaks to Uncle Ben and like Spider-Man like has a change of heart and he like gets out of the machine. Uncle Ben tries to like shoot Spider-Man, but he ends up shooting himself. So Uncle Ben dies in that book, but he actually goes to hell like when he dies. Spider-Man from that universe, and he goes to hell and he becomes Ghost Rider and it's how he became Ghost Spider.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know which character you're talking about now. He's the Ghost Rider headed. Yeah, he's awesome looking.
In that book, it's actually really cool. Like Bruce Banner's Doctor Strange, and his like Etrigan like spinoff is the Infernal Hulk. So like he'll like go like demon, and that's where the Hulk comes from, which is actually pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've never, besides the Ghost Rider part, like I never really knew the background of that character. If I'm gonna go, I guess I'll say the other big name, which would, besides Doc Ock, when it comes to villains, is Norman, who has kind of blown up and kind of taken like the step that Kingpin has not into kind of being an Avenger. Like, he's full on Avengers level villain at this point. He's like American Doctor Doom.
He's an honorable mention.
Except for he's not smart, not a wizard, and not as much of a political genius.
Oh, he's also like psychotic. Like he's legit crazy pants. But like I love that it's like
Norman
the idea
wishes he was Doctor Doom, but he's not good enough to be Doctor Doom.
Yes.
And that's that's like the fatal flaw of Norman Osborn.
But like it's literally a character who's went on to run the entire U.S. government at one point, took over S.H.I.E.L.D., confiscated Iron Man's armor and wore like the Iron Patriot suit. But the idea, like the original idea of like, I love the idea that Peter's nemesis, his greatest enemy, is his best friend's dad. And like the intricacies of like that and all the tension, especially when they know it's each other, like it just works so well.
Mm-hmm.
And as well as like when Norman's just like a piece of shit to Harry and all this stuff, and also his sweet ass hair.
The do-rag.
Does anyone remember the Dark Reign, the Cabal one-shot issue where was Norman puts together like his Illuminati?
It's still anti-Illuminati.
And it's Namor, Emma Frost, Doctor Doom, Loki, and him.
I thought the Hood is the Hood part of that.
Oh, yeah, the Hood. Yes. Sorry. Because I love the Hood. And like the meeting ends, and everyone walks away except for Namor, or like Namor, Doom, and Loki. They all just kind of like look at each other, and Namor's like, "This idiot is gonna fall," and like Doctor Doom's like, "Yeah," and when he is like, "We'll just pick up the pieces." It's like it was like and that's like kind of like because I was like talking like a little bit earlier how like Kingpin is like not big enough for the Avengers, so they don't really mess with him. Like Norman is also at that level, and he tries to bite off where he can chew, except for he's just like he's not good enough to be that big. And it's like,
to be fair, he was in the
hilarious to
Thunderbolt.
see him implode.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like, when he gets in the Thunderbolts and he takes over Hammer, it's like he gets to the top. Like he gets to like everything that he wanted. It's just he's fucking crazy and he can't keep his crazy down.
And sure, like he gets to the top of like what, but like Doom is on like another level. Like Loki's on another level.
Well, Loki's a god, and Doom has Doom is the. I would say in like the Marvel universe, Doom is like I would say he's the best villain in the Marvel universe, in my opinion.
But it's like Spider-Man. It's Spider-Man in the Avengers is like Norman in this scenario, except for it'd be like Spider-Man like trying to be as good as Thor, and while Spider-Man's like, oh, like he knows his place on the Avengers team. Like he doesn't even know like why he's really there half the time.
Well,
Norman thinks he could bat higher than everyone else.
I have mixed opinions on that because I think a lot of that, depending on when we're talking about Peter being on, like Spider-Man being on the Avengers, like he's also way more powerful than he ever really tries to be.
Also that, yeah.
Yeah, so like that's like the fatal flaw. Like Peter doesn't really want to fight, and that's kind of what makes him not like the best hero at times. Like he could be way more powerful if he actually like threw himself into training and everything.
That happened in like when Doc Ock first became Spider-Man. He like punched, what was it? I think it was Scorpion or Rhino, and he's like, he's been holding back because he just basically like snapped this dude's neck like one punch.
Yeah, which is like the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, but like I love Norman, and again, I like the new version that we got in the game. I think it is an interesting version, and I would not be surprised if we see a similar version in Spider-Man movies. And I also like the version that we got in the Raimi movies a lot. I'm not going to talk about the amazing one. That was
Question.
amazing.
Did they introduce like Norman or Harry in like Homecoming at all?
No, neither of them are in it. But we have the whole 5-year jump thing, so they could easily be in it now.
Yeah, he could be in the new one.
And there's like rumors and stuff. Basically, there's like the rumors are that they're going to make Norman be the kind of like mid-tier like big villain, if that makes any sense. And that basically with Stark gone, like he's going to take over the tech industry. So
that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, and Harry could have been 5 years younger than Peter and is now in the same grade because he did not get dusted.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
So, but yeah, I think I don't know. I love Norman. I think when he's written well and he's not like knocking up like people's girlfriends that are his kids' age, he's good. He's also like one of the worst characters when he's written really poorly. So, but I feel like he is. I don't like. There's a lot of comparisons between him and Joker, and I don't think it's appropriate because they're
not appropriate at all.
Yeah, because the Joker is pure chaos. Like Norman has plots and schemes. So I don't know, but I love him. He's awesome. He's like one of the best things to like. He's like one of the best antagonist villains to Peter. So, did anybody have any more they want to go through?
I have a tie. I'm moving one of my mentions up to my tie instead of Kingpin. I'm putting my tie as Gwen Stacy and Mysterio.
Oh, they're both great. I love Mysterio.
Mysterio is such a cool villain. Like I love what he does in terms of like illusions and powers. I love the design of the suit. I am stoked that he's in Far From Home. Again, my second favorite behind Craven.
Mm-hmm. And Gwen is like,
and those wonderful bastards like did the costume. Like
it's
the
perfect.
Purple, the green, the gold, the
fishbowl.
Yeah, they did
you
everything.
See the clip that came out, by the way? There was a clip that came out the other day of like him and Peter talking, and you see how he talks through the helmet and how the helmet comes off, and I was literally like almost screaming. I was so happy.
Oh, this suit looks so good. And I think it's like what they needed to do. They needed to go all in. It doesn't look cheesy. It looks badass in many ways. But yeah, I love him. And I don't think there's anything more we could say about Gwen. Like, Gwen's awesome.
Yeah.
Gwen is that moment of innocence Peter almost has before it's snatched away from him.
Yes, it's like the second Uncle Ben moment, but it's almost a greater moment because it's his lack of knowing what like his powers that actually ends up kind of getting her killed.
Yeah. Like, even when the Amazing Spider-Man 2 did, as bad as that movie is, when that moment happened, I remember like that hit me.
It hit me because I laughed a lot. I think like the death of Gwen in Amazing Spider-Man 2 is so bad because it's like there's so many death flags like in that movie that I was just like, there's no possible. Like, there's no way they can't be like this forward with it and then actually do it. And then I was just like kind of like waiting for it, and like she was falling, and I'm waiting for her. I'm like, he's gonna catch her, and then it's like
The hand, the web hand.
Yeah, and
Oh god.
and then the back of her head hits the ground, and I just like laughed, and I felt
I
really
laughed so hard in that theater.
I felt
was
really
like,
bad about it, but at the same time, I was just like, I can't believe they did this. This is the worst Spider-Man movie.
It's pretty goddamn bad.
It's good in the spectacle, though. You can watch so much bad stuff within 2 hours, and it's like boom, 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 boom. You're always getting subjected to new trash.
I don't even think Amazing Spider-Man 2 is like a fun bad. Like, I mean, I think Batman and Robin is a fun movie to watch because it's so bad.
Yeah,
it's so campy,
and it doesn't take itself seriously. Amazing Spider-Man 2 tries to take itself seriously so fucking. And there's so many boring things about that movie. Like, you know, we talked about it earlier. But
I think Dane DeHaan pissed me off in that movie.
Oh yeah, he's
yeah.
There's I see that, and that movie takes one of the things that, like, I have very mixed feelings on like the genetic transformation goblin stuff. There's times where I'm like, it's a kind of a better idea, but I also love the suit. I don't know. That movie's fucking terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So does anybody else have any good people?
I think all my picks were said today.
Yeah,
all my picks are said.
One left.
Oh,
I
had
have
Miles.
Yeah, Miles. He's not on my list, but he's. I have Jessica Drew. I think it's great. Especially like Jessica Drew in that Dennis Hopeless series from a couple years ago. I think she's like super underrated. I thought her costume redesign was great. She doesn't really, it's like she's tangentially like related to the Spider-Man mythos because her name is Spider-Woman. But I do like over the last like couple of years they've done stuff with her and Silk and Gwen Stacy and Julia Carpenter, and like they kind of have this really kind of cool research of like the Spider-Women characters, and I think that's like pretty sweet. I also just have like a point for basically like all the loser Spider-Man villains because I love them and they're great, like Mock and Beetle and Tombstone and Grizzly and Alistair Smythe and the Spot,
Hammerhead,
Stiltman, Lady Stiltman, White Rabbit. I love them all, and I love them in the way that like I love the Flash villains. A lot of them are just, they're not trying to rule the world. They're not trying to take over the city. It's just like they're trying to make, they're just trying to pay their bills. They're just trying to live their life, take care of their family, and unfortunately,
honestly, where's my Disney Plus show about that?
Like Boomerang, I think like it's been kind of a big breakout over the last couple of years. So
yeah, I think everyone covered. There's one character that I forgot to mention as like one character that I hate, and that's Silver Sable. I hate that they keep trying to make her a thing. She's not a thing. No one cares about her.
Yes, badass mercenary.
I didn't hate her in the game.
Oh, I hated her.
I like her. I like when she like has the wild pack with Sandman. And I forget the other people are part of the wild pack, but I remember liking that. And Dominic Fortune I think is part of that. But I think she's cool. She's a little mercenary character. I think there are problems that she just kind of doesn't fit within Spider-Man.
Yeah. Because like she's almost like too big of a thing where it doesn't work. And he, like you said, he has so many other villains. It's like I don't get what her purpose is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I just like flushed through a character that like was somebody that I liked, and I just forgot their name.
So
yeah, I can't remember who the person was.
Oh, good. It's one of those days.
Yeah.
One of those days when everything's fucked, everything sucks.
It's also like almost midnight on the East Coast too. So
Yeah, I guess that's a part of it too.
Yeah, I do think I was thinking I definitely was not Mary Jane, but like I have mixed feelings on her, mixed feelings on Black Cat. Like, I don't know.
Oh, Black Cat would go in my honorable mentions. I like Black Cat quite a bit.
I think the problem with Mary Jane and Black Hat is like kind of the problem that like outside of Sin's past, Gwen Stacy doesn't really have is that they exist as like this, in the books like since then. So it's like you have like all the stuff with writers who want to write Mary Peter Parker, want to write single Peter Parker. So Mary Jane's importance within the stories fluctuate because of that, of like where her place in the book is. Same with Black Cat. It's like, do you want him to be them just be really good friends, like fuck buddies? Do you want them to be like, like an extramarital affair kind of thing? So it's like I like both those characters, but it's like depending upon the writer for that run, it's like what is their place in the book, and it always changes.
Yeah, I think that is probably a good place for us to end because like John said, it's almost midnight. So quick round plugs, and then we'll head out.
Okay. You can find me on Twitter at QuestionConnor. You can find me on Instagram at MaybeConnor. And occasionally I write words at thelosthorrorgames.wordpress.com. I recently did some E3 stuff, and I don't know, I keep playing with this idea to do a thing where I'm mad at Bethesda, but I don't know. Yeah, that's it. Please, thank you.
All right. I'm John Scott. You can find me on Twitter, JamesScott193. And I have nothing of my own to plug. I'll just say to everyone, please go watch Into the Spider-Verse on Netflix. It's so dang good. No one's paying me to say that. I just think it's an amazing movie.
I think everybody agrees.
Yeah, for those who haven't seen it yet, please go watch it.
The one person.
Or the ones who don't like superhero movies.
Yeah, I have a couple of animation friends who hadn't watched it yet, so very glad that I told them.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a great film.
Yeah,
Ryan, plugs.
Ryan?
Ryan died.
Oh, good night, Ryan.
He did
Good
die.
night, sweet prince.
You can find him in the Phantom Zone, hopefully, or his ghost.
Phantom
I'm
Zone
also in the
ghost.
Phantom Zone to add that too.
Yep. John?
You can find me out on Twitter at John_FN_Seiler, SCILER, where I usually will be talking about a lot of work stuff currently. If you're in the LA area next week, I will be at the Faku booth for Anime Expo for 4 days at that convention of 160,000 people.
You're gonna have such a fun time.
I actually really love working Anime Expo because even though you feel exhausted, I like selling books to people. I like meeting a lot of people. We also have our party on Friday night where we have Anamanaguchi's playing and a couple other bands from Japan. It's
super jealous
party.
about that.
Yeah, no. In all actual seriousness, that does sound pretty dope, especially the selling books to people work.
Oh, and also my last, I totally forgot about this, but the Slingers are great. They're basically people who were supposed to take over for Spider-Man and they've been they were inspired by Spider-Man, and it's Dust, Coronet, Prodigy, and Ricochet. Ricochet is the best one, but the Slingers are great.
Okay.
All right.
And those are my plugs. My Twitter, my work party, and the Slingers.
And the Slingers. Never forget the Slingers.
So if you're listening to this, you're listening to the Phantom Zone, so check out all the other shows. Smallville Chronicles I do with Alan, and the main shows. The Spider-Man 3 Raimi review should be coming out soon. Just recorded that. It was a fun recording. The movie not so much. Although it's not as bad as I remember it to be until a specific character comes into play.
Would this be Eric Foreman himself?
I actually don't think he's bad. I think it's just Venom. I actually think in many ways he's a better Eddie Brock than what's his name in Venom.
Oof, I actually like Tom Hardy more in that movie.
Tom Hardy's a better actor. I'm not going to argue that, and he's better in that movie. He's just not playing Eddie Brock from the comics.
Fair.
He's not playing our Eddie Brock.
Yeah, he's too cool. Eddie's not cool. Eddie's a douche.
He isn't so much anymore, but when he isn't with Venom, he is a douche. He is a by-the-books, brown-nosing asshole.
Yes, and Topher Grace does a great job of being like a brown-nosing d-bag.
Totally. It's awesome. Like, he was great in that movie.
Mhm.
Actually, yeah, I wish we could extend. Can next week's topic just be about how great Spider-Man 3 was?
We can just next week's topic could just be like, let's just talk whatever we want to about Spider-Man.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, I forgot about a total news story, actually, if we didn't talk about this already, the J.J. Abrams thing, but we're at the end anyway, so.
Yep, that could be part of next week. So yeah, and don't forget to check out all the other shows at Los Horror, so it's loshorror.wordpress.com. A ton of other podcasts, articles written by amazing people like Connor here. So go and check those out. Rate, review everything, leave comments on iTunes, and tell a friend.
Tell a friend.
Yes, tell all your friends. Take your friend's phone and subscribe to the show.
Tell all your friends, even make flyers and throw them at random people in the street, just so they can listen.
Tell your grandma about us.
Oh, I'm sure she'll dig it.
Let me talk to Susie.
Someone's grandma's name's Susie.
I assume it's a common name.
Oh no, I just can't imagine calling someone Grandma Susie.
Grandma Susie. That's like the most grandma name I can think of.
I was thinking like
Grandma Ethel.
Ethel or an Ingrid.
Absolutely. Yeah, those are all great.
Marilyn.
Marilyn's a good one.
Whoa, that's
Virginia.
a good one.
Virginia.
Yeah.
I have a name, Virginia, yeah.
Yeah. If you're named after a state, you're a grandma.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Even if you're 5 years old, you are a grandma.
All right. So I guess that does it for us. So adios.
We all have stuff to do today.
Yeah. I love you.
Don't forget that Aunt May had sex with.
God damn it!